Imperial Glory is essentially the sum of two wishes. The first was the setting and the desire to create the great game of the Napoleonic era at the beginning of the 19th century, a game which had not yet been developed. The second was the attempt to fuse the most modern techniques in video games and the latest advances in the design of PC strategy games with traditional gameplay. Imperial Glory has been produced in the standard versions: French, German, Italian, Spanish, English, and also in less standard languages such as Czech, Polish, Russian. Some other versions will also be released. Production of Imperial Glory was one of the key things marked essentially by the ambition of the project. The desire to offer the player a management model, a land battle model, and a naval battle model. What has been particularly complicated was the organization of the production in order to bring all this to fruition. A basic team of 30 people took part in the creation of the game, but the external team of testers, localization people, producers, etc. numbered over 100 professionals. Probably the most complicated part of Imperial Glory was achieving the great visual quality and characteristics of all the game environments. I believe that at present they are the most striking in the genre. On the other hand, the ambition of the project has led to great difficulties in many areas, such as artificial intelligence, game logic, etc. One of the most complicated was without doubt the balancing of the game. Imperial Glory is a game of historical strategy. Its action unfolds across Europe and North Africa between 1789 and 1830. Players can choose from 5 different empires to play as, the major powers in the world at that time. We have developed this game with a team of varied professionals: programmers, designers, graphic artists, musicians, and testers. This was a young and very enthusiastic team. We have managed to create a very ambitious game and are very proud of the final result. Imperial Glory can be played in 2 clearly differentiated ways. The most usual is the exclusively militaristic game. However, we have also created a number of tools so that players can develop their campaigns in a different manner. One based on diplomacy and commerce and the choice of political systems, which will serve to create a very clear foreign policy for their country. Besides this, we have developed the technology tree, which represents the empire's investment in science, thus meaning that its development will be better or worse, or essentially different for each player. Finally, we have the quests, which are special events that offer clear advantages for any player who manages to complete them. The documentation phase was rather complex, as a game of this type requires the greatest possible immersion in the period. We have taken inspiration from very many things. We have had to read a great deal, to consult historians, to watch films. The internet has been an essential tool. We have visited museums. It has been a very complete piece of work. In Imperial Glory, our idea was to offer gamers very different play experiences, so that these can be adapted to their desires. The first worthy of mention is quick games. In these battles, players have up to 80 different scenarios over land and sea at their disposal. Next are the historic battles. In these, the initial allocation of troops is set by the game to correspond exactly with the troops that actually took part in battles as famous as Waterloo or the Battle of the Pyramids. Finally, the management game must be mentioned. In this, the player can control one of 5 empires: France, Great Britain, Austria, Russia, and Prussia. The objective always being to rule the whole world. You can focus your game experience from a military point of view or from a more pacifist view, in which you will try to collaborate with others and increase your knowledge. However, you should not neglect the military aspect, as this can be used to your advantage. Primarily, one of the toughest challenges in the programming was the volume of the work itself in Imperial Glory. This was basically because we had three models: a management model, a land battle model, and a naval battle model. It could be said that the technology was one of the most complex aspects. We had to develop technology capable of running extremely complex scenarios with high graphical quality. We also had to take into account the fact that thousands of units had to pass through these scenarios. Artificial intelligence in Imperial Glory was one of the most complicated aspects, especially because everybody knows that this is one of the most complex parts to develop within a project. The main problem here was that, in this case, we had to develop not just one type of artificial intelligence, but three. We even had three independent teams to develop each one of these types of intelligence. For Imperial Glory, we have made a great effort to try to reflect all the details as faithfully as possible, such as the uniforms and the flags. We have made hundreds of animations to reflect each moment of the battle. We have also made an effort to ensure that the maps reflect the actual territories, from North African deserts to snowy Russian steppes, with details such as frozen lakes, sandstorms. The naval model has a lot to thank the programming team for, as they created water that looked amazing. It was then easy for us to produce something that looked good. The only thing we did was to concentrate on the ships. We tried to make them as realistic as possible by adding all kinds of details, such as sail animations, burning sails, explosions, cannon shots, the crew fighting during boarding. It can be said that the music for Imperial Glory is extremely varied, as we are presented with the different game models. In the case of the management model, we logically sought a type of music that was not especially aggressive. The music that we did is therefore quite peaceful. On the other hand, for both the land and naval battles, the style of music is much more dynamic, more epic. The testing process of Imperial Glory can be considered to have been rather intense, in particular because it is a very big game with many things to check and numerous situations to bring about. It is interesting to note that the programmers, in order to create the artificial intelligence of the battle model, were observing us as we played and noting the tactics we used, how we moved the troops. They consulted us as to our manner of playing, so as to use this as a basis for the creation of the game's artificial intelligence. Imperial Glory started as a project that, owing to its ambition and complexity, was never a game that we were completely certain we would develop. In fact, we worked on the project for months to find out if it was feasible. It has been a very complicated project, as we have been faced with problems of all kinds. It is a production with a huge challenge from the point of view of balancing, a huge challenge from the point of view of artificial intelligence. I think that the results have been much better than we had initially planned. I think that we have created a game that is here to stay. I don't know whether as the best, but it will definitely go down as one of the best Piro Studios productions, and also, without doubt, as one of the best strategy games produced in recent years.